Hey, Labyrinth is exactly what it says on the tin. A maze of tight corridors, mirrored hallways, dead ends, and rooms that start to look the same after 2 turns. It's one of the few maps in Tarkov where you can genuinely lose orientation even if you played it multiple times. And unlike other maps, Labyrinth doesn't ease you into a raid. Now, originally I planned to release this guide at a later point. I wanted more footage, more angles, more variations, witnessing all of the spawns firsthand. But since I reset my account and won't be playing Labyrinth for a while, I decided to take everything I learned so far and compress it into a focused, practical guide. I mentioned that Labyrinth doesn't start like other maps. Every single run confronts you with a problem. You spawn into a trap. There are 5 possible spawns and each one locks you into a contained scenario where the exit is visible but something lethal is blocking your path. There's no alternative route. You need to solve the room or your raid ends before it even begins. If you know the Saw movies, the traps feel very similar, minus the time pressure. At least for PvE, you can take your time. The game puts you in a controlled environment and asks you one simple question. Did you understand the mechanic? Let's start with the traps. There are 5 variants. Steam Hazard, Fire Hazard, Toxic Pool, Toxic Puddle, and Shotgun Trap. They all follow the same logic. You spawn inside a room, the path forward is blocked by a lethal obstacle. Steam blasting from a broken pipe, a gas flame cutting across the corridor, a flooded toxic section that will kill you if you cross it. Or, in the most dramatic version, a hallway lined with multiple shotguns, angled so that you just die instantly if you walk through. The details change, the pattern does not. Every trap has a disable mechanic, usually a lever. Sometimes you need a key, sometimes you need to access the side room and break a lock. Don't guess, don't rush. The trap rooms are controlled environments. Panic is what gets you killed. Now let's break down each trap step by step. All 5 traps follow the same philosophy, but the objects and the interactions change. The rooms are visually overwhelming. There's rubble everywhere, broken walls, pipes, trash piles. Visual clutter is part of the design. You're looking for keys, torches, handwheels, and levers. They are often partially hidden in the debris. For every single trap, I strongly recommend having the wiki open on a second screen, at least for your first few runs. The interactables are not always obvious, and wasting 3 minutes searching blindly is how you panic and start making mistakes. There's something important to note here, which tripped me up. If you search for the gas torch and you just click on the wiki, you will notice there are 2 traps requiring it, meaning you should make sure you're actually looking at the spawn point of your trap and not the other room. I wasted a couple of minutes like an idiot, wondering why everything looks so different, until I scrolled down the page and noticed I'm looking at the wrong room. Let's start with Steam Hazard. You're looking for key 02. Key 02 opens chamber 2. Once inside, you move upstairs. Be careful to not slip and fall down. Within that chamber, there are multiple possible positions for the valve handwheel. There are roughly 5 common spots where the valve handwheel can spawn. Once you locate the wheel and interact with the valve, the steam shuts off and your access becomes safe. The process is simple. Find the key, open the chamber, locate the handwheel, and disable the steam. Fire works very similar to Steam in structure, but uses different items. Instead of key 02, you're looking for key 03. That opens the corresponding chamber. Inside, you are searching for the gas torch. Once you have the torch, you return to the main corridor and burn the padlock blocking the door. After that, you press the button inside and the fire hazard shuts off. Then we have Toxic Pool. This one is even more straightforward. You're looking for key 01. Once you find it, you open chamber 1, go inside and pull the lever. When you pull the lever, the toxic liquid gets drained. The pool clears and you can cross safely. No torch, no additional items, just key, lever, drain. Okay, now the shotgun trap. Sadly, I haven't personally spawned into this variation yet, but mechanically it follows the same rule set. The corridor is lined with shotguns, angled to kill you instantly if you walk through. You need key 04 to open chamber 4, inside you pull the lever and the trap is disarmed. The only real danger from shotgun, especially for newer players, is that the trap is much less obvious to the unknowing eye. And finally, Toxic Puddle. This one combines visual clutter with item retrieval. You enter a side room that is filled with rubble and debris, and you need to find a gas torch hidden within that mess. Once you have the torch, you return to the main hallway, burn the padlock on the locked door and pull the lever. Once activated, a bridge deploys over the Toxic Puddle, allowing for safe passage. That's the underlying logic of Labyrinth traps. They are not random puzzles, they are structured gate checks. The game wants to see if you can stay calm, search methodically, and understand that the solution is always inside your spawn room. One final piece of advice for all the traps. In the recent update, I noticed there are tripwires inside the spawn, and even more concerning, as I pulled the lever, and even before I turned around, I could hear enemies walk into my spawn. As far as I know, enemies in Tarkov never cross the threshold of locked room doors, even if you unlock them. Meaning in previously locked side rooms, you are generally considered safe. Okay, so if you internalize the pattern, the trap phase becomes routine, and once it becomes routine, Labyrinth stops killing you in the first minute of the raid. From here, the real challenge begins. Once you solve the trap, you step into the corridor system of the map, and that's where Labyrinth starts behaving like its name. If we zoom out and look at the map, the structure becomes very clear. The 5 trap rooms sit around the outer ring. The center of the map is a dense maze of interconnected corridors that eventually feed into a large central chamber. In this guide, I will call that room the middle or tractor room. On the left side of the map, you have the steam and fire traps. On the right side, you have Toxic Puddles, Shotgun Trap, and Toxic Pool. And this matters, because the left side of the map is generally stronger in terms of loot and points of interest. The right side is more linear and less rewarding overall. Now let's talk about the middle. The middle is not neutral space. The moment you step fully into the tractor room, an alarm triggers. It's loud, disorientating, and it immediately changes the tone of the raid. There are several buttons across the map that can disable the alarm, but if you don't know where they are, you're fighting heavily geared AI while half death. And that brings us to the real danger of Labyrinth. It's the AI ecosystem. Once you aggro any unit on the map, the system reacts. The guards here are not passive scares. They are aggressive, accurate, heavily geared AI, and when you trigger one, they all collapse onto your position. If you fight in the middle while the alarm is active and you're already aggroed the guard, you are stacking pressure on yourself. Multiple angles, limited cover, tight corridors feeding into your position. Even in your spawn, what is my suggestion to actually take that fight is not safe once that fight begins. If you trigger the boss or one of the guards, they will push you aggressively, sometimes all the way back in the area you started in. And yes, there's one hell of a boss, Shadow of Tagilla. Level 6 armor, level 6 helmet, good weapons, accurate aim. He's not a mean boss. If you expose yourself without cover or take a lazy peek, you will lose that fight. He has a lot of HP and requires you to be very precise with your aim. And of course have very high tier ammo. I suggest bullets with at least 55 pen or above. Usually I will fight him with either M61 or my AP. And once you kill him, the raid escalates again. His brother, Vengeful Killa, spawns and moves towards the location where Tagilla died. Which means the moment you secure the kill on Tagilla, you need to reposition immediately or at least prepare for a second engagement. Labyrinth is built around cascading pressure. Trap, maze, alarm, AI collapse, boss, second boss. It rewards control and punishes greed. You need to be very methodical here, and honestly, I don't see how people manage this map without a guide. Now let's talk about locked rooms and long-term value. There are 2 major locked rooms and one other important area. The locked rooms are on the left side of the map. The important weapon testing area is slightly north of the middle. The first room is the corpse room. Its key spawns every raid and it's a one-time use. That means you must find it inside Labyrinth during that run and use it before you leave. I'll show several common spawn locations on the map right now, so you know what to check. The second is the observation room. This one works differently. Its key can be extracted and brought into future runs. Once you secure it, you unlock access to 4 future raids. Both rooms are connected to the middle. From the tractor facing the front of the vehicle, the observer room is to your right, through the breach in the wall. The corpse room is one section further, right past that. They are close to each other and they are both part of the story progression as well. There's also the experimental weapon testing area in the middle, slightly north of the large axe on the floor. This section is important for the narrative side of Labyrinth and ties into a broader story arc. If you're here for progression, you will end up passing through that space a couple of times. Loot in general is pretty good in Labyrinth, but kinda annoying to loot because stuff is spread out a lot and often hard to see with all the rubble and clutter around. Again, in general, the left side of the map is more interesting because of the 2 locked rooms, but loot on the entire map is good. There are a few important things you need to know about the story. First of all, there are several scientists around the map. Some of them have nodes and one of them usually has the observer key in their hand. There's one additional scientist in the observer room which has a tape for one of the story chapters. If you are looking for the bear squad, you need to first collect a note in front of the steam heathered door. Then go into the weapon testing area and lastly find the squad of bears that are close to Ariadne's exit. Talking about exits, the most commonly used extract is Ariadne's path. It requires a key, typically found on Tagilla or one of the other AI. One player hands in the key and the entire squad extracts together. Only one key is consumed for a group, but make sure everyone is in the extract. There's also a timed extract that opens later in the raid. Think of it as a fallback option. If you don't secure a boss key, you can survive long enough and take the standard exit once it becomes available. That's usually about 15 minutes into the raid. So to sum it all up, how do you approach a clean run? You spawn, you solve your trap calmly, don't sprint blindly into the middle. Don't activate the alarm and aggro AI at the same time unless you're prepared for a full collapse. If you take that boss fight, commit fully. Kill, reposition, prepare for a second wave. Labyrinth isn't about mechanical aim duels or reaction speed. It's about control. Control of space, control of sound, and control of escalation. If you understand that system, the map stops feeling like chaos. It becomes predictable, and once it's predictable, it becomes survivable. That's the difference between wandering a maze and mastering it. So I hope you found this guide helpful. If so, it would be very nice if you like and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next one. Bye bye.